In today's video, let's talk about my first 25 hours into the game, the highs, the lows, and if you guys are a true Borderlands fan, is it worth picking it up and jumping right in? Let's talk about it. So in my first 25 hours of the game thus far, I have beaten 2 out of the main storyline bosses. I have beat Soul and the Ripper Queen. I believe the last main one is the Timekeeper that we have yet to beat, and I have completed tons of mini-bosses and random spawns in the world via these bubbles, which, by the way, are super duper fun. If you have not checked this out or have not challenged yourself, I highly recommend that you give these a shot. Additionally, here throughout my 25 hours, I've been playing a minion-based Vex build for my Vault Hunter of choice. Absolutely love this build. It's very good for single players and even better when it comes to co-op. And I was even able to take down my very first vault after finding enough fragments. So here's going to be the good, the bad, and the chaotic stupid in between. And so loading into the game, I decided to roll Vex. And one of the main reasons behind that is because with other Borderlands titles, I have always played a Siren. It has been my class of choice. I've just loved the magic side of things. I really loved playing Maya, I'm not sure exactly how you say that, from Borderlands 2, but I really loved her kit. I loved that I could do a lot of solo, damage myself. I could provide, the phase bubbles, hold enemies up into the air for my, other squad members to take down and do damage to them. I loved also providing tons of support via the support skill trait for my friends, like being able to instantly revive them from afar utilizing my phase lock ability, just to give you guys some examples. So obviously Vex here was a no-brainer for me diving into Borderlands 4. Now with that being said, I will say there are some differences here right off the gate. Vex does not feel so much like an individual magic, spellcaster class. She's very much more into the summoning side of things. I know you can build her a couple of different ways. I originally went building her the Saber Cat, where I was relying on my Saber Cat basically to do everything for me, or, Trouble obviously is the name, to do everything for me, but I found myself it feeling a little bit lackluster or not really suiting my playstyle. So I ended up swapping over to the other minion build, which is going to be Reapers to provide taunt and keep the aggro of enemies to keep them off of you. And then obviously the clones, or whatever they're called, phases or whatever, that basically stand in a stationary spot but provide additional firepower, just as if you had another squad mate. And I find this playstyle to be a lot more fun compared to the Trouble playstyle that I originally had. Again, I'm not going off of any other builds from like max, GG, or trying to max out my DPS. I'm just currently enjoying the game, and this is going to be the build that I have went with. When I compare this to other previous games, I think it's on par. I definitely think that it's a different, unique take for the Siren that we haven't seen in other Borderlands games, but I definitely am having fun playing Vex my first time through. When it comes to playing through the game, I'm also playing in a cooperative session, and my friend is playing Rafa, which I do think it's been very interesting to see the chemistry between Rafa and Vex, utilizing the different skills to try to stack combos together. And also it's been really interesting via boss fights to, dedicate different, specialties or specific tasks according to whatever the mechanics are, whether it goes to him or go to me, to really balance it out. And speaking on those boss fights, let's talk about the 2 out of the 3 main storyline bosses that we were able to achieve so far in our first 25 hours. The Soul fight, all right? The Soul fight, in my opinion, I thought was a perfect balance. I think they did a very good job with the mechanics, right? Obviously, as you reduced his health down, the mechanics started to change, get a little bit more intense, really did a good job of keeping you on your toes. The arena felt kind of small, which just added to the overall challenge, but again, we're playing here on normal for our first playthrough, and on normal, it didn't feel unachievable or impossible. It felt very achievable, but you did have to pay attention and strategize and utilize the mechanics of the fight to your advantage so you guys can obviously persevere. Now, the Ripper Queen, not so much. The Ripper Queen, for me, felt like it came and gone. It was super duper fast, super duper quick. It felt like it was more of like a paperweight. It did not really feel like a main storyline boss, in my opinion. I have had several mini boss fights in the world that I feel like were way more, challenging than the Ripper Queen fight was. And I feel like it was very disappointing, especially coming off of a fight like Soul for the first main story boss fight, with all the different mechanics and all the stuff to look out for. The Ripper Queen felt very easy, and like I said, it's super fast. We were able to take her down no problem, easy peasy. And I think for her looking as badass as she does, I was really expecting her to put up more of a fight. fight. But in general, the Ripper Queen just felt a little bit underwhelming, and I would have liked to have seen more mechanics introduced, a little bit more challenge there. Again, we're currently on normal mode. Maybe the harder modes or the harder difficulties will add that in. Obviously, I've got to just wait and see. Now, the side quest, though, this is peak Borderlands, and like I said before, this is truly where the gold happens and what I love inside of the Borderlands games. The quest line specifically that stood out to me in this first 25 hours was called Sage Against the Machine. I'm assuming like a play on Rage Against the Machine, but nevertheless, it had me literally laughing out loud and massively throwing a WTF moment at the end. And now, speaking of these side missions and everything, let's talk about the different zones. So the very first zone in the game, in my opinion, it felt very much alive. I loved how green and how lush it was. I loved the open, vast fields. I loved, the amount of wildlife that you discovered, and also the little, like, small towns that were also alive. It felt, again, very similar to Borderlands 2. But Zone 1 definitely hit the mark for me, and it felt very much at home. However, though, when it came to Zone 2, it was the complete opposite. It was very dead, very empty. It felt like a barren wasteland. There wasn't a whole lot going on. We spent a lot of time traveling more than anything, and it just felt empty compared to the first zone. I get it here. I mean, obviously, this is the Ripper Queen's territory. She probably completely sucked the life out of the entire zone with all of her rippers and all of her madness, but gameplay-wise, it just felt boring compared to the first zone. At least Moxxie's bar brought me back to life here in the second zone. I mean, priorities, right? And now, as far as the loot in the game is absolutely insane. I mean, it has a massive, diverse loot pool. It feels very exciting when you randomly get a legendary. You actually get to hold on to that legendary for quite a few levels beyond that, because it's just that powerful, which is exactly how the legendary gun should feel and how it felt in games like Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2. I definitely think that they have held on to that here and brought that here to Borderlands 4. On the opposite end here, it is worth noting that it has felt a little bit overwhelming when it comes to the amount of weapons that I have picked up and received, as the loot is just pouring and pouring and pouring, and if you find yourself traveling and doing more world bosses, the loot never stops. I mean, I'm essentially swapping out all of my lower tier gear for higher tier before I eventually go and sell or take a look at my entire inventory, and yeah, it can feel very overwhelming when it comes to deciding which item is going to be better for your specific build. And another new mechanic here for Borderlands 4 that I'm not quite exactly sure if it's a pro or a con, right? It kind of feels like a blessing and a curse depending on how you use it. And that is this Moxy, replay encounter machine, all right? Where essentially you can pay money, to then reset the encounter, whether that's a badass or a mini boss or just a challenging mission, whatever it is, right? Including even vault. You can actually rerun the vault after completing one by then obviously spending the money to do so to reset him. And I'm not exactly sure how I feel, because on one hand, I feel like it's very exploity and very easy to then farm out the legendaries that you're looking for from those bosses with, little to no additional challenge, like with the mobs or the ads or working your way to that mission or waiting for a certain timer or spawn, you name it. I feel like it kind of takes that aspect out of the game, but at the same time, I also understand where if you've already completed all of this stuff into the game, you don't really want to go back through all of those missions all over again and all of that content and all of those, trash mobs just to farm, the same boss over and over again because you're looking for a specific legendary that drops from them. So I get both sides of it. Maybe I'll enjoy the machines a little bit more after I actually complete the entire storyline and have nothing else left to do when it comes to side missions. But hey, I can only know that once I get to that point. So here's the real question. Why play Borderlands 4 instead of playing Borderlands 2 if you're brand new to the Borderlands series? And if you guys have played the other Borderlands games and maybe you're a Borderlands fan, well, why should you play Borderlands 4? And the truth actually boils down to a couple of things. I mean, I think one, obviously the easiest one, is Borderlands 4 is a brand new game, right? Brand new game, which comes with a brand new storyline. It comes with brand new vault hunters with new abilities, new classes, new skill trees. You've got tons of new weapons. You've got new weapon vendors. You've got tons of new storylines. I mean, you name it, right? I mean, you've got got tons of new things to discover, and if you're a huge fan of the Borderlands series, then I think you will thoroughly enjoy all of the new content that Borderlands 4 does provide and offer. Same thing goes for if you're brand new to the series. It is very chaotic, very fun, very crazy, can be overwhelming at times, but I do think that it has been an absolute blast, and if you like first-person shooter games, especially in this art style, you will definitely enjoy Borderlands 4. And on top of that, not to mention, the game is brand new, and there's going to be more consecutive DLCs that will be introducing new vault hunters, new missions, new quests, new storylines, you know, new bosses. I mean, you name it as DLC. All of this stuff is going to be coming out for Borderlands 4, and you don't get that for something like Borderlands 2, at least not at this point. There's tons of content in Borderlands 2. Trust me, I understand that. Go play that if you have not played it, but I definitely think it's still worth doing so here for Borderlands 4 because of all of that stuff. So for me here, Borderlands 4 has definitely been living up to the chaos and hype that I expected. Obviously, I'm only 25 hours in, and as more time is invested into the game, I complete the main storyline, I get all of the side missions done, collect all of the stuff that I can find. Obviously, I'll be doing a more thorough, in-depth review of the game if I feel that it is needed or if my opinion has changed. But as of right now, I am absolutely enjoying my playthrough. But that leads me to beg the question to you guys, what do you guys think about it? Do you guys agree with the points that I've made in this video? Do you have something else that you think that needs to be addressed or that you would like to say? Let me know down below in the comments. As always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe here on the channel for more Borderlands 4 content, and speaking of content, check out all the Borderlands 4 videos I have here on screen to get you guys started. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you all on the next one.